Hello everyone and welcome back to Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I need a change of pace from the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom reviews that I have been doing since like April, so I'm gonna be doing something different today, and I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for me to get back to reviewing dinosaur models instead of the action figures, and so this is gonna be a welcome change to those of you out there who have been waiting for that, and I have got something very exciting for you, something that's going to be well worth the wait. It is none other than this, the massive, new for 2018, Papo Therizinosaurus, and let me tell you, I am so incredibly stoked to do this review. I absolutely love Papo. I know it has its critics, but I absolutely love this company. The quality of work that they do is matched by none, and this Therizinosaurus is no exception. And I honestly think that 2018 is one of Papo's better years. I think they're getting better and better with each year, and this Therizinosaurus, this one right here, happens to be the one that I was most excited for this year. I know it has its fair share of naysayers out there, but hopefully by the end of this review you'll be on my side. So without further ado, we're gonna crack this Therizinosaurus out of that plastic bag. I know you guys like to see that, so we're gonna do that for you right here and right now, and then we're gonna give you a closer look at it. So let's do this. Everyone's favorite part here. My favorite part too, because I finally get to see him out of the bag. Oh, come on, you can do it. You can do it! You're free! Run! Run! Run away and never look back, Papo Therizinosaurus. And oh my gosh, this thing is awesome! You might not want to stand on my review space. We'll see. Oh, come on, don't let me down. You're embarrassing me. Yay, there he is. Oh my gosh, this figure is absolutely gorgeous out of the packaging. Real quick, I do want to say it comes with a nice little plastic tray to keep it from warping during the shipping process, so hold on to that. Sometimes it's helpful if the legs start to warp to get those back into shape, so I'm going to set this aside for later use if need be, but oh my goodness, just out of the bag, this Papo Therizinosaurus looks absolutely incredible, and we are going to give you a closer look at everything about it starting now. So without further ado, let's do this! So starting off at the head, as you can see, this is just a beautiful, beautiful sculpture by Papo yet again. There is all sorts of texturing going on across the entire surface here. Scales of varying sizes have been sculpted to cover the entire head here. The eye is seated nice in the orbital area there with a yellow iris and the black pupil, same as usual. And even with the mouth closed, you can see peeking out from the upper jaw some of the peg-like teeth. And as with many of Papo's theropods, this Therizinosaurus does have an articulated jaw, which opens up nice and smooth there, as you can see, and then you can get a good look at the sort of moist, shiny cheek flap in there. Unfortunately, my issue with this open jaw is that they kind of sculpted this ridge on the upper jaw. You can see it there, or not the upper jaw, the lower jaw. There's just this ridge that comes up and blocks off the flap, the cheek. And I don't really know why they went for that. It's an awkward shape and it creates this really weird image. But I do love everything else about this head. And for those of you who are concerned about shrink wrapping, I will say that it is pretty minimal on this head. I mean, it's definitely there, you can see it, but it feels much better than some of Papo's previous installments. I also love the beak on this model. It has a great texturing going and the coloration really emphasizes that. The other side, it's really the same story in terms of sculptural details and whatnot. You can also see in the lower jaw there you have got more teeth sculpted in, and you can see the curled up tongue, which has a nice gloss finish. And then at the back of the skull you can see the start of the mohawk of featherings that continues all the way down the neck and meets up with hair-like feathers at the torso. If we move down the neck, you can see lovely, lovely wrinkles and folds of skin as the creature bends its head slightly down. The skin bunches up and folds in a nice, naturalistic way, and then you can see all of the cross-hatch skin texturing going on across the body there as well. As you get to the midsection, you can see the shoulder blades poking there, and then the start of the hair-like feathering, which just looks so incredibly naturalistic and nice, and it's just appealing to the eye. There you can see the nice swelled gut has more of the crosshatch scaling going on, and then we come down to the thigh, which has some lovely sculpted musculature flexing as the leg is lifted off of the ground. As you can see, that too is covered with the hair-like filaments, which look absolutely incredible. The calf also has lovely bulging musculature there, and if we continue down the length of the tail, you can see that the hair-like filaments continue all the way down to the tip, where they are replaced by a fan of feathers, which have a nice layered structure to them, and the feathers look absolutely fantastic. Feathers are one of the hardest things to sculpt, and Papo have done two different types of feathers really well in one model. If we move back up the opposite side, it's really the same story. You start with the fan of feathers at the tail, coming to the hair-like filaments on the main body, this crosshatch scalings on the underbelly, lovely fold of skin pulling away from the leg there, nice veins and wrinkles surrounding the gut region, the scapula at the shoulder area, lovely folds of wrinkles down around the base of the neck, and then the crosshatch scaling, veins, and wrinkles in the neck, and we come back up to the beautiful head. Looking at this figure from the front, you can really get a good idea of just how imposing it looks with its arms spread out, displaying its threatening claws. And you can also get a good idea of the overall girth that this Therizinosaurus has. There you can see inside the mouth, get a better look at that tongue and the teeth and the beak. And if we move down, you can see the crosshatch scaling here once again. And once the neck hits the torso, you've got lovely bunching of skin where gravity would be working on them. Beautiful pectoral muscles flexing as the creature extends its arms, surrounded by lovely wrinkles. And then we come to that incredibly wide and large distended gut, which has a very clear diaphragm down towards the tail region. And as you can see, the crosshatch scaling continues all the way down under the tail and to the end as well. And then you can get a good look at the beautiful feet with the lovely dew claws. If we move up the back, you can get a really good look at all of those hair-like filaments that Papo sculpted into this Therizinosaurus. It just looks so incredibly natural, the way they sculpted this, and unfortunately, it's kind of catching in my light, which gives it a glossy look. I assure you it's not. It has a matte finish, which looks absolutely incredible. It's very fitting for this kind of sculpture, and there you can see the shoulder blades bunching up nice and naturally behind the neck, and as you can see, the feathers get longer and longer the closer you get to that mohawk on the head region there. Taking a look at the feet are incredibly predatory in nature. This Therizinosaurus does belong to the theropod family, but it was one of the few herbivorous or insectivores dinosaurs, so the fact that they have such predatory looking feet and they did such a great job of sculpting them is absolutely awesome. And if we move up, you can get a good look at the musculature sculpted into the calf, the lovely kneecaps, and again the hair-like feathers that cover the entire surface area, and the nice wrinkles and folds of skin around the leg. Here you can see the other foot curled up as the creature takes a step forward. I love the plate scaling here. The claws have a nice black coloring, and then they are painted over with a dirty mud color to give them a little weathering, which is absolutely fantastic. Gives this thing a nice lived-in look. And there you can see that leg once again with the beautifully sculpted musculature. Now for the arms. The arms are really the only letdown on the Therizinosaurus here, and not because they're necessarily bad. There's lovely musculature in the bicep, the forearm, and I love the feathers coming out of the elbow. The plate scaling on the back of the fingers is beautiful. It's those claws. And though they are painted the same way as the toes with a nice black base color and then muck covering them, they're just way too short for Therizinosaurus for my taste. I mean, we don't know much about Therizinosaurus. We know that their claws were about 3 feet long, very long claws on this dinosaur. But the rest, most of it is just guesswork. So this very well could be in proportion to the rest of the animal for all we know. But that I find that very unlikely given its family relations and the better known specimens of Therizinosaurs. And I really just wish these claws were longer. It would make much more of a statement on this model and make it look all the more imposing. So that's really my grievance. Alright, now for the overall pose. We've talked a little bit about it, but here we're going to go a little more in depth. As you can see, this Therizinosaurus has its arms flailed out to the side, displaying those impressive claws. Well, not so impressive claws, but The feet are taking a step forward, and its head is curled in a nice, graceful S shape like a swan, and it is leaning back on its tail. I have heard a lot of people complaining about the overall proportions and the pose of this Therizinosaurus, but really, here's my 2 cents. Therizinosaurus, from what we know, was one of the dinosaurs that could stand the most upright. So this sort of tail-dragging pose does not feel that entirely far off for Therizinosaurus. The tripod thing is a bother, but it doesn't feel necessarily wrong since we know Therizinosaurus could stand pretty far upright. People have also complained about the proportions. I mentioned how the claws are way too small. I agree with that. But they're also bothered by the sort of pot-bellied look that this thing has. For me, I think it's great. I mean, it really gives this thing a whole lot of girth, a whole lot of character, and it makes it look all the more impressive on the shelf. And, you know, I mean, my first introduction to any Therizinosaur was in BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs, or, no, excuse me, When Dinosaurs Roamed America, with the Nothronychus, and that thing had quite a paunch on it. So I really like that they went that route with this Therizinosaurus, and I think, you know, it looks really, really good from the side here. It looks absolutely incredible. Now for the paint. The paint's pretty simple. Papo have gone back to their sort of duller colors. You've got a gray-green featheration on the dorsal region, brown hair-like featherings on the legs, a sort of tan color for the underbelly with brown stripings, a light cream dot. The feathers are painted white with black tips, and then there is a beautiful splash of color on the head with the sort of turquoise featheration on the mohawk, and then sort of in the fenestral areas of the skull. And I think it's really great that they kind of reserve those splashes of colors for special areas, you know? It really is a place for your eye to land on and rest and go to. And instead of painting them all just a crazy color like they did with their 2017 lineup, they really picked and chose where to add those beautiful splashes of color, which I think was definitely a good decision on their part. Now for the size of this Therizinosaurus. This thing is a corker. This thing is absolutely massive in the hand, and really one of their biggest. If we take our trusty dusty tape measure here, you're looking at right around 8.5 inches, which is about 21.5 centimeters from the tip of the tail all the way to the front of the head, and then it is about 8 inches off the ground, which is about 20.5 centimeters, so it is quite large, one of their largest. And if we take a measurement from the front here, if he'll stand up for us, come on, you're embarrassing me. No, I promise you he does stand just fine on a flat surface. He just doesn't like our review space. Come on, you, stand. Stand. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You will do it. You will do it. You son of a... Okay, now that we have that stood up, we can take a measurement from how wide it is with its claws outstretched. You're looking at right around 5.5 inches, which is about 13 centimeters. So yes, a very imposing model by Papo. So, for a quick size comparison, I want to start off by bringing in Papo's Pachycephalosaurus. It's one of the few things I have out right now, and it's also one of Papo's smaller offerings, so I thought that would be kind of fun, you know, to kind of see one of their biggest, heftiest figures next to one of their smaller figures, and that really gives you an idea of just how big this theory is. But even the Pachycephalosaurus is taller than our next offering, the Papo tupuara, and as you can see, this is Papo's smallest offering to date, and the Therizinosaurus just absolutely towers over this guy. He is massive. I cannot express that enough. I mean, you can kind of tell from these videos, but until you have it in hand, you really won't have as much of an appreciation for it. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for our look at the Papo Therizinosaurus. Overall, I just love this model. It is my absolutely favorite Therizinosaurus model from any company, period. One of the best. I feel like there aren't a lot of good ones out there. The Schleich one, The Bullyland might be the best option, or the Collecta, but both of those kind of just don't sit well with me. This one is exactly what I wanted. I remember thinking Papo needs to make a Therizinosaurus, and when I imagined what they would do, it did look something like this. So because I got what I was expecting, I am insanely happy with it. And if I were to give a final review, or final rating, I would say a solid 8.5 out of 10. It is one of my favorite Papo models to date. And if the feathering covering was a little more abundant, And if the claws were a little longer, we may have been looking at our first 10 out of 10 on Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews. Well, I think it would have been my first. I don't know. As always, I would love to hear what you guys think of this model. Are you going to pick it up? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think I'm crazy? What's your favorite Therizinosaurus model out there? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed our review today, don't be afraid to let us know by hitting that like button. And don't forget to subscribe on your way out, because we've got more reviews coming your way. And hint, hint, it's going to be some Papo for you. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and thank you all for 500 subscribers. I just saw that I hit that real quick. Wanted to say thank you for that before I forget, and that's going to do it for us today. I think I said everything I need to say. All right, Killer Shrew Fan, out.